Brand names are not all created equally. In fact, there's considerable difference in the amount of trademark protection given to brand names depending on where they fall on the sliding scale of protection. Generic names get no legal protection. Coined names or arbitrary names get a vast amount of protections. And I'm going to walk you through now the different steps along this scale so that you can see with some examples. A generic name like computer store or notepad paper describes the thing or the service at its very core. It's words that are common, describe a whole category of products or services. And therefore, nobody can own any rights in that name and because it's generic. A name that's a little bit better because it gets some protection and over time could acquire even more protection is a descriptive name. A descriptive name tells you something pretty immediately about what the product or service is, but it doesn't consume the entire category like a generic name. So example of a descriptive name would be like Cartoon Network for the TV channel, or Breakfast Buffet for a diner, or Sports Illustrated for a magazine about sports. Descriptive names are common, but they don't really stand out and they don't really get the best protection. Suggestive names give you a hint of something about the product or the service without overtly telling you or describing to you what it is. Some great examples of recent suggestive brand names include Netflix, involving internet and movies, obviously. Lyft, involving ride-sharing services. Groupon, involving shopping discounts in group savings. So suggestive names are entitled to more protection than descriptive names and do resonate with consumers. Arbitrary names are brand names that don't have a direct connection to the product or service, even though they may be a common term. Apple is really the most well-known example of this. Apple obviously is a very common word. Apple would be generic in the fruit category, but for computers, it's completely arbitrary. So Apple is a strong brand name. Amazon, similarly, has nothing directly to do with online shopping, and thus is a very strong, protected, arbitrary brand name. Coined names are made-up terms like Kodak or Exxon, and those are really legally the strongest names because they're more likely to be unique and they have no direct meaning. So on the sliding scale, coin names are going to get the most scope of protection around them when dealing with other brand names. However, my particular favorite types of trademarks and what I recommend that most brands seek out are those suggestive names because they're more effective for marketing purposes because they tell the consumer something about the product or service. So it's a lot easier to market Netflix to a consumer than it is to market Hulu. Hulu, as far as I know, is a coined, made-up word. So when you tell somebody about Hulu for the first time, they probably have no idea what you're talking about. That's why I favor suggestive names.